The Mountain West names their all-conference teams and the individual honors. College football is coming to a close, so it's time to go over the Mountain West all-conference team and individual honors. Hey, welcome back to the Big Mountain. I am JY, and we're going to run down what the Mountain West has announced for the all-conference team and for the individual honors. On December 2nd, the Mountain West announced these honors and winners of the all-conference teams. These were chosen by the 12 head coaches within the Mountain West and a select media panel. And let's get into the individual awards. For the Player of the Year on offense, that goes to UNLV's junior quarterback, Anthony Calandria. This is a player that I named to be the Player of the Year in the Mountain West several weeks ago. Great to see he gets this honor. As some of you know, the Mountain West does an Offensive Player of the Year and a Defensive Player of the Year. So Anthony Calandria getting that offensive award here. He was the first UNLV player to be named the Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year. He was a four-time Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year this season, going week by week. And that was a UNLV program record. He completed 238 of 349 passes for a Mountain West best 3,050 yards. That is 19th in all of FBS. He also had a league-leading 22 touchdowns this season. That's 26th best in all of FBS. His 68.2 completion percentage ranks 17th in FBS. And he's on pace to set a program record. He led the Mountain West and ranks 9th nationally in total offense at 300.4 yards per game. He also led the Mountain West and is 17th in FBS in passing efficiency, 157.8. Now we look at the defensive side of the ball. Actually, co-awards being handed out this year. One of them to New Mexico junior linebacker Jackson Eck. The other to San Diego State senior quarterback Chris Johnson. You guys know, if you watched my Player of the Year award finalists, I had Jackson Eck coming out of New Mexico. I also had him as one of my 4 finalists in all of the Mountain West. I did not have Chris Johnson on that list, but let's talk about Jackson Eck first. He became the first New Mexico player to be named the Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year. Of course, back in 1999, Brian Urlacher was named Player of the Year. That was before they split it into the offense and defensive players of the year. Jackson here posted 126 total tackles for an average of 10.5 per game. Both of those rank 8th in all of FBS. He's also tops in the Mountain West and ranks 5th in FBS with 64 total tackles. That's 5.33 per game. Talking about Chris Johnson here with San Diego State. He is the 6th Aztec to earn Defensive Player of the Year honors, the first since 2021 in Cameron Thomas. He was a first-team midseason All-American. That was a selection by the Associated Press. He was a semifinalist for the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award. He ranks 9th in FBS with 1.18 passes defended per game, with a total of 13 in 11 games. His 4 interceptions are 16th in FBS, and his .36 interceptions per game are 23rd nationally. Let's get to the Special Teams Player of the Year. That goes to senior place kicker in Hawaii, Matazawa. And then also from the Rainbow Warriors, the Freshman of the Year goes to quarterback Micah Alejado. Both of these very worthy recipients of these awards. I had named Micah my freshman of the year several weeks ago as well. Good to see the Mountain West agreeing with me and giving him this award. Let's start with Matazawa, the Tokyo Toe. Let me call him by his proper name, the Tokyo Toe. He's Hawaii's second Mountain West Special Teams Player of the year. The first since the kick returner Mike Edwards got that back in 2012. He's one of 3 finalists for the Lou Groza Place Kicker of the Year award. He's a 4-time Mountain West Special Teams Player of the Week honoree. He leads FBS with 25 made field goals and 2.08 field goals per game. He ranks second in FBS with a 96.2 field goal percentage. He leads the Mountain West and is 8th nationally in scoring at 9.3 points per game. He did make his first 25 field goal attempts of this season. That matches an FBS record. His 25 field goals this season are a Hawaii record, and it ties for 5th in the season for all of the Mountain West history, and he matched the Mountain West record for consecutive field goals with 26. Of course, some of those date back to last season. I think one of those dates back to last season. Now we got to talk about this freshman setting things on fire on the islands, Micah Alejado, Hawaii's first Freshman of the Year award winner. He was named a semi-finalist for the Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year award. He was a 2-time Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week award honoree and a 6-time Freshman of the Week selection. So he has been throughout the honors here this year, both offensively and as a freshman. He ranks 9th in FBS with 283.2 passing yards per game and 4th with 25.3 completions per game. He leads the Mountain West in both of those categories. He ranks 29th in FBS in both passing yards and passing touchdowns. His 21 passing touchdowns are a program freshman record, and he ranks 2nd in the Mountain West and 16th in total offense for FBS, 290.4 yards per game. Last individual honoree is the Coach of the Year. That goes to New Mexico's Jason Eck. So a family affair, receiving some awards here with Jason and Jackson. Coach Eck here becomes the second New Mexico coach to be named the Mountain West Coach of the Year. Of course, the first went to Rocky Long back in 2002. This is New Mexico's first coach that led the program to a 9-3. First year coach that led the program to a 9-3 record, a 6-2 mark within the Mountain West. That's the most wins in both of those categories since 2016. He's led the Lobos to bowl eligibility for the first time since 2016. He led New Mexico to a tie at the top of the Mountain West standings. This after the Lobos were picked 11th in the preseason poll, and they only returned 34 players from last year's team. That was the fewest in all of FBS. So well done there for Jason Eck. I'm anxious to see what he has in store moving into the future, and he just got an extension and a pay raise there with UNM. Very well deserved. Let's get into the first team offense. I will throw this up. A lot of these names you have heard us talk about. Some of these had the individual honors. Of course, quarterback here, Anthony Calandria. He's the junior from UNLV. Looking at wide receivers, we've got Jackson Harris in Hawaii. He was absolutely phenomenal. Him and Alejado together are dangerous. We have Danny Scudero, only a sophomore at San Jose State. Him and Walker Egat had a special thing going until Egat unfortunately was injured there at the end of the season. And Braden Pagan comes in, a junior at Utah State. Really nice season for him. Of course, Bryson Barnes being another stellar quarterback there at Utah State. The two running backs here, we have Lucky Sutton with the Aztecs. He's a junior. And Jaden Jet Thomas, another junior with UNLV. He is a phenomenal player to watch. So fun when he gets into open space. Jet is the perfect nickname for Jaden Thomas. The tight end here, Dorian Thomas, the sophomore from New Mexico, gets the only tight end spot here on the first team Mountain West offense. Looking at the O-line, we've got Cooley, Casey, Randolph, and Spooner, and I'm missing one. San Diego State. I apologize. Ugale, I can't say his name. Ross. I'll say Ross. A lot of seniors there on that. The only non-senior being Cage Casey there. He's the junior with Boise State. Boise having 2 of those 5 offensive linemen. Of course, Matazawa is the place kicker from Hawaii. He's a senior. And Bankston from New Mexico, the senior, gets the kick return for the first team offense. When we look at the defense, let's look at the line. La Barbara here from Nevada, Johnson from Hawaii, James Newby from New Mexico, and Trey White from San Diego State. Looking at linebackers, Owen Long from Colorado State. That sophomore had a great season there for CSU. Jackson Eck, of course, here, a linebacker. The junior, Chambliss, the sophomore at San Diego State, and Pollard, the senior at San Jose State. And then the last one, John Miller, senior, out of Utah State. Looking at D-backs, we've got some good ones here in the Mountain West. Benefield from Boise, he's a junior. McCoy from Boise, he's a senior. Chris Johnson, we talked about him earlier, phenomenal D-back there from the Aztecs. And then Noah Avenger, a senior at Utah State. He's a shutdown corner. I don't think enough people talk about that kid. He came over from New Mexico with Bronco Mendenhall there to Utah State. He is a phenomenal D-back that the Utah State Aggies had this year. And then you see Napier for San Diego State. He was the punt returner. And the punter, Hansen, for Colorado State, a junior. I'll go through the second teams. I'm not going to name them, line by line like I did the first. I'll put them up on the screen. Not surprising here, Bryson Barnes. He was one of the 4 finalists I had for Mountain West Player of the Year. He is the quarterback on the second team offense. I say very well deserved. And those 3 wide receivers in Bradley, Napier, and Ashlock, very close to being top team players too. They are phenomenal talents. Dylan Riley gets to be a running back here on second team. Everybody came in, or at least I came in, thinking Sire Gaines was really going to be the main back coming out of this season. But Dylan Riley looked phenomenal. He's only a sophomore. Anxious to see what he has into the future. Miles Davis at Utah State. And Rocky Beers, who came on this season very well for Colorado State, that senior tight end. Well done there. Looking at the defense there, of course, we've got several Boise State guys on here. Virgin Morgan, a junior. He's a great lineman there. You look at some of the linebackers. McDuffie, one of the few players that stuck around there for UNLV. He's really been kind of that standby guy, really the leader of that defense at the linebacker crew there for UNLV. Happy to see Braden Johnson here for Wyoming. He's had a really, really great year. Just first year in FBS, and he lit the world on fire. I saw him in his first game there at Akron, and he was amazing. So I'm really, really happy to see him get on here. Of course, looking at the D-backs, we've got a lot of great talent with Brown, Hamilton, Irby, a lot of great talent there. So that's where we're at. A few honorable mentions, guys that didn't make the first or second teams that I just want to mention. I think you'll see these guys, of course, if they have years left on them. Some of them do. Getting honors, whether it be in the Mountain West next year or in the PAC, as some of these teams move on. But of course, out of Air Force, honorable mention to Liam Zarka and Cade Harris. They were a really nice pair there. Once things got going there around game 4 or 5, they really had a good feel for each other. Was able to really, Zarka really looked to Harris out of the backfield quite often, and he had a nice season. Fresno State, Josiah Freeman, nice wide receiver there. Honorable mention, didn't quite make the top 2, but really good talent. Of course, Micah Alejado, he got the Freshman of the Year award. I'm guessing he will probably be a preseason top 2 quarterback going into next year with the Mountain West. Keegan Johnson, a wide receiver from New Mexico, he had another really nice year. Nice honorable mention for him. Of course, San Jose State's quarterback, Walker Eggett, who I've really enjoyed watching over the last 2 seasons. Unfortunately, as I said, he was injured here late this year, but he gets an honorable mention, and I think appropriately so. Utah State safety Ike Larson gets an honorable mention. He's another one of those guys. I'll tell you, with Larson and Avenger back there in the secondary, Utah State had a very strong secondary this year. And then out of Wyoming, they have center Jack Walsh with an honorable mention. On the D-line, Ben Florentine. Ben Florentine was the player I picked out of Wyoming for my player of the year, but I had Braden Johnson, who did make second round there as somebody I had my eyes on as well. So there we go. That is the individual honors and the All Mountain West Team Awards. I think the coaches got it pretty dang close. Certainly the honors I completely agree with. I love watching all of these players, and you heard me say junior quite a bit, so I'm hoping we see a lot of these players back with their teams next season, and we'll be following it as we get into the 2026 college football season. So, hey, I appreciate you guys watching this as I went down over the highlights of these awards. Make sure you smash that like button on the way out and subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you next time on the Big Mountain.